So there we were, the Galactic Council, pride of 17 civilizations, masters of faster-than-light travel and quantum computing, sitting in our fancy space station arguing about whether to call the humans, yeah, the humans, those weird primates from that blue marble everyone makes jokes about at diplomatic dinners. The situation was, to put it mildly, catastrophically bad. The Crimson Rot had swept through 6 systems in 3 months, not 6 planets, 6 entire star systems. It turned your insides into something resembling strawberry jam, except less appetizing and significantly more fatal. The mortality rate was hovering at 94%, and our best scientists were basically throwing their tentacles, claws, and appendages up in defeat. Ambassador Krell, this bird-like alien who looked like someone had given a raven a business degree and a pessimism disorder, was pecking at his datapad with the kind of aggressive desperation that suggested he had already accepted death. Absolutely not, he squawked for the 15th time. I would rather dissolve into Crimson Rot soup than ask those barbaric, chaos-loathing, gravity-bound lunatics for medical assistance. Commander Vex, our resident military stick-in-the-mud, slammed his 4 fists on the table. He was one of those aliens who looked like someone had built a bodybuilder out of purple crystals and anger issues. Ambassador, with all due respect, which is currently none, we are out of options. The Xanthurian Institute has failed. The Krillian Medical Consortium has failed. Even the Wise Collective, who we're pretty sure can see the future, looked at this plague and said, quote, "We got nothing," unquote. But humans, Krell's feathers ruffled in indignation. They still use primitive injection needles. They cut each other open for fun and call it surgery. They have a medical procedure called a colonoscopy that I refuse to even look up. They also have never lost a citizen to Crimson Rot, Vex countered. In fact, according to our intelligence, a human tourist walked through Sector 7 during the outbreak, ate something called a hot dog from a street vendor, and left completely uninfected. The council chamber fell silent. Somewhere a ventilation system hummed. Someone's stomach made a disturbing gurgling sound, possibly Crimson Rot related. Fine, Krell finally muttered, his voice dripping with the kind of defeat usually reserved for parents buying their kids a pet they definitely did not want. Send the distress call to Earth. But when they show up with duct tape and optimism instead of actual medicine, I am saying I told you so at all of our funerals. The message was sent. It was formal, dignified, and carefully worded to convey the severity of our situation without making us look too desperate. We expected a response in maybe 72 hours, standard galactic protocol time. We got one in 47 minutes. It just said, on our way, bringing supplies. Stay positive, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, 3 exclamation points. We were doomed. Dr. Marcus Webb received the galactic distress call while eating a burrito at 2 in the morning. Which should tell you everything you need to know about human medical professionals. He was Earth's chief xenobiologist, which was a fancy title that meant he studied alien life forms and got way too excited about things that would make normal people scream and run. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, he repeated. Burrito forgotten, hot sauce dripping onto his keyboard. Janet, wake up. The Galactic Council needs our help. They have a plague, an actual alien plague. This is the best day of my entire life. His assistant, who was trying to sleep like a reasonable person, sent back a message that simply read, "It is 2 a.m., and also they are dying, you psychopath." But Marcus was already making calls, pulling together a team, and doing that thing humans do where they treat a catastrophic emergency like it's Christmas morning and they just found out Santa is real. Within 6 hours, he had assembled a medical team, supplies, and enough enthusiasm to power a small city. Enter Captain Rita Flores, a woman who had spent 15 years hauling cargo across Earth's solar system and had the personality of someone who had seen way too much weird stuff to be impressed by anything anymore. She had a face that suggested she was perpetually 3 seconds away from saying something sarcastic and a reputation for delivering packages on time even if it meant flying through an asteroid field or telling space pirates where they could shove their boarding attempts. So let me get this straight, Rita said, leaning against her ship, the Cosmic Mule, arms crossed. You want me to fly medical supplies to a bunch of dying aliens who probably think we're idiots? Correct, Marcus beamed. And the pay is the eternal gratitude of multiple civilizations and also actual money, yes. And what exactly are we bringing? Marcus gestured to the cargo bay with the pride of a parent showing off their child's art project. Inside were medical supplies, yes, but also cases of yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, pickles, something called kefir that looked like it was already trying to escape its container, and approximately 7,000 packets of various human snack foods. Rita stared. Doc, they have a plague, not a potluck. Trust the process, Captain. I'm not sure you have a process. I think you have a grocery list and a prayer. But Rita had seen enough weird human science work to know that sometimes the crazy plans were the ones that actually succeeded. Plus, the money was good, and she was pretty sure her ship's insurance covered galactic plague zones. Probably, she would check the fine print later. The supply manifest was absolutely unhinged. Medical equipment, sure, antibiotics, antivirals, the good stuff. But then there were cases labeled probiotic cultures, fermented goods, grandma's soup starter, and inexplicably, several boxes marked assorted chips, because aliens need to know about ranch flavor. Why, Rita asked slowly, do we have 40 pounds of beef jerky in a medical relief mission? Snacks are important for morale. Their morale or yours? Yes. The launch was scheduled for dawn. Marcus spent the entire pre-flight check bouncing around like a golden retriever who had just been told they were going to the park. Rita ran through her systems with the calm efficiency of someone who had learned that panicking just wasted fuel. Cosmic Mule to Earth Control. We're go for launch, Rita announced. Please save the galaxy, Earth Control responded, and try not to embarrass us too much. No promises, Rita muttered, firing up the engines. As they broke atmosphere, Marcus was already reviewing his notes, muttering to himself about bacterial cultures and pH levels. Rita glanced over at him, then at the cargo hold full of fermented foods and medical supplies, and thought, not for the first time, that humanity's approach to problem-solving was basically controlled insanity with really good results. Hey Doc, she called out. What are the odds we actually pull this off? Marcus looked up, grinning like a maniac. I'd say 60-40. Those are terrible odds, yeah, but we're humans. Terrible odds are kind of our thing. Rita couldn't argue with that. She punched in the coordinates for Javaran Prime and engaged the FTL drive. Behind them, Earth grew smaller. Ahead of them, a plague-ridden star system waited, completely unprepared for what was about to hit them. Humanity was coming to help. Whether the galaxy was ready or not, the Cosmic Mule dropped out of FTL space right into the middle of what could only be described as organized chaos meets apocalyptic nightmare. Javaran Prime was quarantined so hard it looked like someone had wrapped the entire planet in police tape. Dozens of ships orbited at safe distance, all of them keeping a very respectful several thousand kilometers between themselves and the plague planet. Rita's communication console lit up immediately. Unidentified human vessel, this is Quarantine Command. You are approaching a Class 5 biohazard zone. Turn back immediately. Negative Quarantine Command. We're the medical relief you called for. There was a long pause. You are the human response team. That's us. Another pause. Longer this time. There are only 2 of you. Yeah, we're a very efficient species. Rita could practically hear the controller's soul leaving their body. Ambassador Krell met them at the landing platform, wearing a full hazmat suit that made him look like a very paranoid, very angry bird in a plastic bubble. Marcus practically bounced off the ship, wearing nothing but his regular clothes and what appeared to be a Hawaiian shirt under his lab coat, because of course he did. Where Krell demanded, his voice crackling through his suit's speakers, is your contamination gear? Oh, we don't really need that, Marcus said cheerfully, pulling out a scanner. Human immune systems are kind of ridiculous. We'll be fine. You will be fine. Doctor, this plague has a 94% mortality rate. For you guys, sure, but humans evolved on a planet that was actively trying to kill us for millions of years. Our immune system doesn't just fight diseases, it holds grudges against them. Krell made a sound like a tea kettle having an existential crisis. They were escorted to the medical facility, which was less a hospital and more a building where people went to die with slightly better lighting. The smell hit them first, a combination of disinfectant, despair, and that particular odor of organic matter giving up on existence. Marcus immediately pulled out a granola bar and started eating it. Are you, Krell whispered in horror, eating? In a plague ward. Gotta keep my energy up. Marcus offered the box. Want one? They're peanut butter chocolate chip. I want you to take this seriously. I am taking this seriously. I'm just also hungry. They were brought to Elder Thrin, the closest thing Javaran Prime had to Patient Zero. He was a dignified alien who looked like someone had crossed a lion with a philosopher and given the result really bad health insurance. He lay on a medical bed, his breathing labored, his golden fur matted with sweat, his eyes dim with the kind of exhaustion that comes from fighting your own body for weeks. Elder Thrin, Marcus said, his tone shifting to something actually professional. I'm Dr. Marcus Webb from Earth. I'm going to run some tests, and I need you to know something important. Thrin's eyes focused on him weakly. What is that, human? This is going to sound weird, but you're probably going to be fine, Krell squawked in protest. Doctor, you cannot promise that. But Marcus was already running his scanners, taking samples, muttering to himself. Rita, meanwhile, had pulled out a bag of chips and was eating them while leaning against the wall, watching the whole scene like it was a mildly interesting television show. Captain Krell hissed at her. How can you eat at a time like this? Rita crunched a chip thoughtfully. Ambassador, I once delivered live cargo through a meteor shower while my ship was on fire. This is actually pretty calm by comparison. Your species is insane. Yeah, we get that a lot. Marcus suddenly stood up straight, his eyes wide. Oh wow, okay, this is actually fascinating. Fascinating, good or fascinating, we are all going to die, Krell demanded. Fascinating, like I know exactly what this is and how to fix it. The entire room went silent. Elder Thrin lifted his head slightly. You can cure the crimson rot. Cure is a strong word, Marcus said, pulling out his datapad and typing rapidly. But yeah, probably. See, this isn't actually a disease in the traditional sense. It's a microbiome collapse. Your gut bacteria is being wiped out by an invasive species, which is causing a cascade failure of your immune system and digestive tract, and you can fix a microbiome collapse. Thrin asked, hope creeping into his voice. Marcus grinned. Ambassador, humans are basically walking bacterial zoos. We have trillions of microorganisms living inside us at all times. We've been colonized by friendly bacteria since before we climbed down from the trees. If there's one thing Earth is good at, it's bacterial cultures. So what, Krell said slowly, is your treatment plan? Marcus pulled out his datapad and showed them a list. We're going to introduce compatible probiotic strains, rebalance your gut flora with fermented foods, and basically rebuild your immune system from the ground up using the power of yogurt and human stubbornness. The silence that followed was the sound of multiple alien civilizations reconsidering their entire understanding of medicine. You, Krell said faintly, are going to cure a galactic plague with yogurt and kimchi and pickles. And this really good sauerkraut my aunt makes. I hate this so much. Rita crunched another chip. Wait until you try the beef jerky. That stuff is like... The medical council of Javaran Prime was called for an emergency session, which basically meant a bunch of very smart, very dying aliens gathered in a room to hear the human-s insane plan and decide whether to try it or just accept their fate with dignity. Marcus stood at the front of the room with the confidence of a man who had absolutely no idea how crazy he sounded. Rita stood behind him, eating what appeared to be her fourth snack of the hour, providing moral support through the power of aggressive chip-crunching. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored beings of various configurations, Marcus began. I'm here to tell you that the Crimson Rot is not your enemy. You're empty-gutted. One of the Javaran scientists, a being that looked like a very intellectual jellyfish, raised a tentacle. Dr. Webb, with all due respect, which we are only giving you because we are desperate, your proposal suggests introducing living organisms into our bodies as treatment. We have advanced beyond such primitive medicine. Have you though? Marcus clicked to his next slide, which was just a picture of a smiling human gut bacteria magnified several thousand times, because from where I'm standing, you advanced right past the solution. See, you all sterilized yourselves into vulnerability. Your ships, your food, your water, everything is so clean that your immune systems forgot how to fight. Krell, who had finally removed his hazmat suit and immediately regretted it when Marcus offered him kombucha, ruffled his feathers aggressively. That is absurd. Cleanliness is the foundation of health. Cleanliness is great, Marcus agreed. But humans learned a long time ago that you need a little dirt in your life. We have bacteria in our gut that help us digest food, produce vitamins, fight off infections, and probably do our taxes. We haven't fully mapped all their functions yet. You all killed yours off centuries ago in the name of progress. So your solution, the jellyfish scientist said slowly, is to make us dirty. I prefer the term strategically colonized, but sure. Rita finally spoke up from the back. Look, I know this sounds nuts, but I've been eating space station food for 15 years, and I'm still alive. My ship's recycling system would horrify your sanitation engineers, and I've never been healthier. Sometimes the messy approach works. Marcus pulled up his treatment protocol. We're going to start with Elder Thrin because he's the worst case, and also because if this works on him, it'll work on anybody. First, we introduce lactobacillus strains through fermented dairy products. You want to give him milk that has gone bad, Krell said flatly. Milk that has gone good, actually. Yogurt is humanity's gift to the universe. Then we add kimchi for variety of bacterial strains, sauerkraut for the vinegar-loving microbes, and kombucha because honestly it tastes weird but it works. This is not medicine, Krell protested. This is a grocery list. Best medicine usually is. One of the other council members, a crystalline being that refracted light in concerning ways, spoke up. What are the risks of this treatment? Well, Marcus scratched his chin. Worst case scenario, nothing happens and Elder Thrin continues dying at his current rate. Best case scenario, his gut flora rebalances, his immune system reboots, and he makes a full recovery. Middle case scenario, he develops an unexpected fondness for fermented cabbage. And you've tested this on humans all the time, on your specific biology. Marcus paused. You'd be the first, but I ran the compatibility scans and your digestive system is like 85% similar to ours. The gut bacteria should colonize just fine. Should, Krell repeated. Should. Science is not an exact science, Ambassador. That sentence makes me want to die faster. Rita walked forward and dropped a bag of chips on the conference table. Look, you all can debate this for another week while people keep dying. Or you can trust that the species that survived everything from ice ages to our own stupidity might know a thing or two about not dying. Your call. Elder Thrin's voice crackled over the intercom from his medical bed. I will do it. Everyone turned to the speaker in surprise. Elder, you don't have to, the jellyfish scientist said gently. I am dying anyway, Thrin replied, his voice weak but determined. If this human wants to fill me with fermented vegetables and optimism, I see no reason to refuse. Besides, the worst that happens is I die tasting something new. Marcus pumped his fist. That's the spirit. Rita, break out Grandma's soup starter. The one that's been fermenting for 6 generations. That's the one. Krell put his head in his wings. We are all going to die, and it's going to taste like cabbage. Rita pulled out a jar of something that looked like it was plotting world domination. Actually, this batch has more of a garlic and disappointment flavor profile. I hate humans so much right now. Yeah, Rita grinned. We get that a lot too. Marcus rolled up his sleeves and headed toward the medical bay, his bag full of fermented foods and absolute conviction. Behind him, the medical council sat in stunned silence, trying to process that their salvation might come in the form of expired dairy and a human who thought medical science was more of a suggestion than a rule. This is either, the crystalline being said quietly, the most brilliant or most idiotic thing we have ever agreed to. With humans, Krell muttered, it is usually both. The treatment began at dawn, which on Javaran Prime meant the sky turned a sort of hopeful purple that felt inappropriately optimistic given the circumstances. Marcus had set up what he called his probiotic protocol, which looked less like a medical procedure and more like a very strange cooking show. Elder Thrin, to his credit, accepted each fermented offering with the dignity of someone who had made peace with the universe's sense of humor. This one is yogurt with active cultures, Marcus explained, holding up a spoonful. It's going to taste weird. Thrin took it. His face did something complicated. It tastes like milk that has betrayed me. Perfect. That means it's working. Over the next 6 hours, they introduced kimchi, which Thrin described as spicy regret, then sauerkraut, which was sadness in vegetable form, then kombucha, which made him ask if humans were being punished by their gods and decided to spread the suffering. Rita watched from the corner, eating what was definitely her 10th bag of chips. You know, watching someone else suffer through fermented foods really makes you appreciate regular meals, Captain Krell said from beside her, trying not to look interested. What are you eating? Sour cream and onion chips. Want one? Absolutely not. Suit yourself. But here's the thing about biology. It doesn't care about dignity or protocols or how weird something seems. It just works or it doesn't. And in this case, against all reasonable expectations, it worked. By hour 12, Elder Thrin's temperature started dropping. By hour 18, his color was improving. By hour 24, he sat up in bed and asked for more of that betrayal milk. The medical monitors showed his gut bacteria levels rising, his immune markers stabilizing, his body remembering how to not dissolve itself. It was, by any objective measure, a miracle. Or at least a really weird Tuesday for human medicine. I feel, Thrin said slowly, his voice stronger than it had been in weeks. Strange. Strange. How? Marcus asked, scanning him with every device he had. I feel hungry. Not sick hungry, actually hungry. That's your digestive system coming back online. This is great. And I want more of those crispy things the captain is eating. Rita paused mid-crunch the chips. Yes. The chips. I require the chips. Marcus and Rita exchanged a look. Marcus said, that's probably just your body craving salt and fat for recovery. Totally normal. But then the other patients who had started treatment began reporting the same thing. They were getting better. Yes, which was fantastic. They were also developing intense, borderline aggressive cravings for human snack foods. A Javaran soldier who had been at death's door was now arguing with a nurse about whether ranch or barbecue was the superior chip flavor. A government official had hidden a bag of beef jerky under her pillow like it was contraband. Someone had started a black market for granola bars. Ambassador Krell found Marcus in the medical bay, looking simultaneously relieved and horrified. Dr. Webb, the treatment is working. I know, isn't it great? But there's a situation. What kind of situation? Krell gestured to the window. Outside, a crowd of recovering patients had gathered around Rita's ship, chanting something that sounded suspiciously like more snacks, more snacks, more snacks. Oh, Marcus said. Oh, Krell agreed. They walked outside to find Rita standing on top of the cosmic mule, tossing bags of chips into the crowd like she was some kind of snack-based messiah. Captain Flores, Krell called up. What are you doing? They were getting rowdy. I figured if I was going to die, it wouldn't be to an angry mob of aliens who just learned about salt and vinegar flavor. Commander Vex pushed through the crowd, looking flustered in a way that suggested his military training had not prepared him for this situation. Doctor, we need to discuss the treatment's side effects. The side effects are they're not dying anymore. That seems like a win. The side effect is they are now addicted to human food. Marcus pulled out his datapad and scrolled through the data. Okay. So there might be some minor dependency issues as their gut bacteria adjusts to processing new types of foods. And yes, the dopamine response to highly processed snacks is probably more intense for species that have never experienced them. But they're alive, Commander. They're alive and they want snacks. In the grand scheme of problems, this is a good one. Elder Thrin emerged from the medical facility, looking healthier than he had in months, holding a bag of barbecue chips like they were sacred texts. Dr. Webb, I need to know where we can acquire more of these. Earth exports them. We can set up a trade agreement. I will pay whatever price you ask. Krell made a strangled sound. Elder, you cannot be serious. But Thrin was serious. They were all serious. The entire planet of recovering plague victims was serious about their newfound appreciation for human junk food. Rita climbed down from her ship, grinning. You know, Doc, I think we just accidentally created a new market. I think we saved a civilization and gave them an eating disorder. Potato, potato. You pronounced that the same way both times. My point stands. Krell sat down on a nearby bench, watching his people mob a human spaceship for snacks, and tried to remember when his life had become a farce. We called for medical aid. They cured the plague and started a snack epidemic. Could be worse, Rita offered. How we could have brought the spicy chips. Those really mess people up. Somewhere in the crowd, someone found a hidden case of jalapeno-flavored chips. The resulting chaos could be heard from space. Marcus just smiled and made a note in his datapad. Treatment successful. Side effects include survival and strong opinions about ranch dressing. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council convened again, this time not in panic, but in the awkward silence of people who had been proven extremely wrong and had to say thank you about it. The Crimson Rot was gone. 6 star systems that had been writing their obituaries were now writing trade proposals. The mortality rate had dropped from 94% to 0, which was the kind of success story that would be told for generations, probably with increasing amounts of embarrassment. Ambassador Krell stood at the podium, his feathers neatly preened, his dignity hanging on by a thread. On behalf of the Galactic Council and the 17 civilizations affected by the Crimson Rot outbreak, we extend our gratitude to Dr. Marcus Webb and Captain Rita Flores of Earth. Marcus and Rita sat in the audience section, looking deeply uncomfortable in formal clothes. Marcus kept tugging at his tie. Rita looked like she was considering all the escape routes. Your unconventional methods, Krell continued, each word sounding like it physically hurt him, proved effective where our advanced medicine failed. You saved countless lives using fermented vegetables and friendship. And chips, someone shouted from the back. Don't forget the chips. Krell's eye twitched. And chips, yes. We are all very grateful for the chips. Commander Vex stepped forward, holding a fancy-looking datapad. Earth has been granted full membership in the Galactic Medical Council and awarded the Star of Valor for humanitarian aid. Marcus stood up to accept, looking genuinely touched. Thank you, Commander. This means a lot. We're happy we could help. However, Vex added, We do need to discuss the economic ramifications of your treatment protocol. Economic ramifications. Vex pulled up a holographic display showing trade routes, cargo manifests, and what appeared to be a very complicated economic graph. Earth snack food imports have increased by 4,000% in 3 weeks. Several planets are requesting exclusive trade deals. There have been minor riots over limited beef jerky supplies. We have a situation. Rita stood up, grinning. Sounds like you need a reliable shipping contractor. Captain Flores, are you proposing what I think you're proposing? Commander, I'm proposing that the Cosmic Mule becomes the primary Earth food distributor for the recovered sectors. I've got the ship, the routes, and the complete lack of self-preservation necessary to fly through contested space with cargo holds full of snacks. Marcus jumped in, and I'd like to propose the establishment of the Intergalactic Medical and Snack Distribution Service. We provide medical assistance using Earth's unique approach to biology, and we help manage the cultural integration of human foods into alien diets. The council members looked at each other. This was not how they imagined first contact with humanity would go. They had expected formal exchanges, careful cultural integration, maybe some trade agreements for rare minerals. They had not expected to become dependent on a species that treated medicine like a cooking show and thought winging it was a valid scientific method. But here they were. Fine, Krell said, his voice heavy with resignation. But I have conditions. No more introducing foods without proper labeling. We had an incident with ghost peppers that I will not discuss. All new products must be tested for biological compatibility. And for the love of all that is holy, please include instruction manuals. Instruction manuals for snacks? Marcus asked. You would be amazed how many ways beings can incorrectly consume beef jerky. Rita pulled out her datapad, already planning routes. We can work with that. I'm thinking weekly supply runs, rotating inventory, maybe a subscription service. A subscription service for chips, Krell said flatly. And medical support. Don't forget the medical support. How could I forget the medical support? It comes with fermented cabbage and trauma. Elder Thrin approached the group, looking healthier than ever, holding what had become his signature accessory, a bag of barbecue chips. Dr. Webb, Captain Flores, my people and I owe you our lives. But I must know, are all human foods this transformative? Marcus and Rita looked at each other. Elder Rita said carefully, we haven't even introduced you to pizza yet. What is pizza? Oh buddy, Marcus said, grinning. You're not ready for pizza. Nobody is ever ready for pizza. The council session dissolved into chaos as various representatives began arguing about import priorities, flavor preferences, and whether introducing pizza would constitute a form of cultural warfare. Krell watched it all happen, standing next to Commander Vex, both of them wearing the expressions of people who had seen the future, and it was covered in cheese and pepperoni. Commander Krell said quietly, we asked humans for medical aid. Yes, they cured the plague. Yes, and now we're discussing pizza imports at a formal council session. Yes, is this what diplomacy looks like now? Vex watched Marcus enthusiastically explaining the concept of stuffed crust to a fascinated crowd of alien dignitaries. Apparently, somewhere in the back, someone had smuggled in samples. The first taste of human pizza by alien civilizations was met with what could only be described as religious experiences. Marcus Webb and Rita Flores, through a combination of legitimate science and complete disregard for conventional wisdom, had not only saved multiple civilizations from extinction but had also accidentally colonized the galaxy with Earth's most powerful weapon, really good snacks. As Rita would later tell the story in space station bars, humanity had achieved what centuries of diplomatic missions couldn't. They brought people together through the universal language of food that was probably bad for you but tasted amazing. The Galactic Council would never be the same. Neither would their diet. And somewhere on Earth a marketing department received word that they needed to ramp up production for intergalactic export, and wondered if this was real or if someone had spiked the office coffee. It was real. Humanity had gone to space not as warriors or explorers, but as the galaxy's combination medical team and snack dealers. And honestly, that felt about right.